Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student Mike DeMarco.
Bill, today's show, how do we best describe today's show? Well, I guess it's for the birds.
I'm not sure birds are in our target audience, but if they are, they'll certainly enjoy today's show.
Today, we are going to learn all about the Long Island Parrot Society, an organization that is dedicated to responsible bird ownership through education and example.
Our guest today is Robert Gross, a board member of the Long Island Parrot Society and the Man of Wantagh. Robert, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Hello, Bill, and hello, Mike.
Robert, I see you've brought some feathered friends with you today, so let's get their introduction first.
On my right hand, I have Romeo. He is an umbrella cockatoo, currently 13 years old. He can live to be 60 years of age. These are people years we're talking about. And on top of my head is Miss Rio. She's a green-cheeked conure, South American native. She is 5 years old, and she's probably had 1 million kisses in her life so far.
And for our audience, I will tell them Romeo looks to be about the size of a football, honestly. I would say he's about 12 or 14 inches, and you probably know his weight. So how much does he weigh?
Romeo is 19 inches in length, and he's 2.5 pounds.
He's 2.5 pounds, okay. And Rio is actually sitting on your head right now. She looks more like the typical bird that we would see probably, I don't know, in ounces, right?
She's about 5 ounces, looks to be 6 inches long.
That's what I would guess, yes.
Quite a difference.
Yes. So interesting pair and two good companions. Mike?
So I hope you and your family and your friends and your feathered friends are all personally doing well in light of the pandemic. Has the virus affected you personally at all?
No, the virus hasn't caused me any problems. I've been very diligent with the masks. I've actually had all of my injections. And I've gone along, I do all my shopping, I do all of my errands, I'm having a ball with family, grandkids who are actually right next door right now as we speak, in daycare, and my animals keep me young. They really do. 8 birds at home.
Oh, wow.
You have a lot of good friends around you and a lot of good companionships. Now, Robert, tell us about the Long Island Parrot Society. Why is there a need for such an organization here on Long Island?
Bill, we actually have 83,000 homes that own one or more parrots. And our purpose is to educate people how to properly take care of the birds, proper diet, proper cage setups. Also, you're talking about the education of activities for the birds, private time for talking, and most of all, what we're doing, which has been fabulous on Long Island, we are rehoming birds that have been up for adoption. We have successfully rehomed hundreds of birds, and all of the owners are very, very happy. We have 450 members in our society, and we're constantly growing all the time. We do outreaches all over Long Island. We go to elementary schools, libraries, fairs, picnics. We bring our birds out with us, and we have a ball.
Now, is that a problem like we hear with puppies and dogs and cats that people are trying to get a home for them and place them someplace? Does this happen that often? We don't hear about it with birds, so can you fill us in?
It actually happens a lot where when a particular person goes out to, say, get an umbrella cockatoo like Romeo, and they'll say, oh, it's such a cute bird when it's a baby. What they don't realize is that when they get to be 6 or 7 years old and they become hormonal, when these birds scream, I can tell you right now, it would be that you would have almost 100,000 megahertz that you're broadcasting on.
Oh, my goodness.
These guys are very loud. Most of my neighbors from 6 and 7 houses away, when the window's open, can hear Romeo when he wakes up in the morning. And then in the early evening at dusk, they get loud also. They're genetically wild, so their schedule tends to run like they're really in nature and not so much captivated.
Now, in the organization, what services does it exactly offer for its members who join?
What we offer the members are, and because of the pandemic, What we've done is we now do 2 monthly meetings. On the first Wednesday of the month, we do what we call a mini Zoom. The mini Zoom, and I personally host that myself, and we educate everybody, again, as I mentioned, about food, cage size, other animals in the house, noise control, biting, proper training. Then on the third Wednesday of the month, we have a guest speaker coming in. Now, again, with everything being done on Zoom right now, we've upgraded our entire computer system, and we have many members in the 5 boroughs, Westchester, Rockland County, and out of state. They tune in, and when we do go back to personal meetings in Babylon, starting in March of next year, we're still going to do Zoom meetings for the benefit of all of our members to sit home and enjoy.
Now, Robert, I'm just looking. These birds are very good. I mean, Romeo has been sitting on your arm now for about 6 or 7 minutes, and actually more than that because before the show started. And he's just very peacefully watching you. It seems to be very obedient, which I give him great credit for. Is this his normal existence?
Fortunately, my wife's not here right now to add to the comment. Okay, he has times where he's very quiet. He has times where he's very, very vocal. And what I do, and this will help a lot of people who think that if a bird causes a problem, you go, put it in this cage, cover the cage, turn out the light and say, bad bird. It doesn't work like that. What you do if a bird is doing something that it shouldn't, you pick it up, move it to a different room, and talk to it and say, what are you going to do later? What kind of a snack would you like? And one of our best remedies is going in the shower. He comes out of the shower and he is automatically a dancing king. He has a ball. He acts like the Aflac duck. So there are times of quiet and there are times of a lot of noise.
Now, I heard you say, what breed is Romeo?
He is an umbrella cockatoo, and there are 21 different cockatoo species in the world throughout Indonesia and Australia.
Now, are you a rebel in the Parrot Society? Because, again, is that just a general name for any type of bird owner? Or is he just an outsider or high security?
Well, what we do is, when I go to meetings, I socialize him all over, and I hand him to many, many people. He also likes to be with children, usually 8 years and older. With a larger bird, if anybody's going to get a larger bird in their house, they have to understand one thing, that the young kids run around, they can sometimes bang a cage, they can yell at the cage, and the bird gets very scared. They're naturally higher tension creatures. Not being domesticated like dogs and cats and being genetically wild, they can get taken back and remember who came over to their cage causing a disturbance.
Now, what is the average lifespan of a parrot? I'm curious.
Okay, now...
Or larger birds in general.
On a larger bird, this particular bird can live up to 60 years.
Wow.
Macaws can live to be up to 80. African grays, 50. Amazons, and I'll be talking about that a little later. I actually had the pleasure of meeting a lady who recently lost a blue-fronted Amazon at 72 years of age. Captain Morgan was his name.
That's incredible.
It's so interesting just watching Romeo here. Every once in a while, the, what would you call them, the feathers start going up. He's so well behaved, though. He's just sitting there taking everything in, watching everybody. I really thought as the show went on, he would be a little annoyed at sitting in the same place, but he seems honestly like the ideal pet, etc. So perfectly good for him. Now, most of us think in terms of dogs and cats and maybe a few goldfish that we have. Do birds have to have visits to the vet like the other animals?
Yes, they do. We bring Romeo for a well bird exam every 2 years. There are special avian vets that handle only birds and also exotics. If you go to a typical veterinarian, dogs and cats, they can't even look at these type of pets. He had a checkup in February, and he was doing just perfect.
So is that like in the doctor world, the doctor who specializes in cancer or eye, illnesses, etc.? The avian, is that something vets go on special for or have special training just to be able to take care of them?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Their metabolism, okay, when you look at a dog, a cat, or a rabbit, they're mammals. These animals are not mammals. They're called citizens. And the word starts with a P. It's one of those weird words like psychologist that when you try to spell it, you'll say, why is there a P in there? So he's actually a hookbill parrot, as is my little friend up here. And they are in the citizen group, lactose intolerant, unlike mammals, which are raised on milk.
Well, before we continue, I just want to add that you are listening to My Hometown on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Mike DeMarco, along with Bill Horan, and today we are learning all about the Long Island Parrot Society, an organization that is dedicated to responsible bird ownership through education and example. Our guest today is Robert Gross, a board member of the Long Island Parrot Society, and the Birdman of Wantagh. Now, Robert, so I know you mentioned earlier, you touched on the number, but how many birds do you personally own? And is your house I know you mentioned the bird gets a little loud sometimes, but do you have other birds that cause noise as well?
Actually, we have 8 birds.
Okay.
There are 3 parakeets, 3 conuas, a cockatiel. The cockatiel is actually a cousin of a cockatoo. And the way you determine that is, it is the only small bird that has a crown on top of its head, like the big one does. That's also an Australian bird. And of course, we have 1 cockatoo. If another one ever came in the house, being his name is Romeo, people say, you should get a Juliet. And then my wife says to me, 43 years of marriage will be bye-bye with one more of these. I can put it into a perspective. If you follow baseball and you know about all the speed pitches that we have, this is 80 miles an hour. This is 110. This is a lot of work. It exists in a cage, 6 foot high, 4 foot wide, full of lumber, full of toys, cardboard boxes, all types of things for entertainment. Cage setup is very important with these birds because they have to be entertained and happy in their cage. And this young man is out of his cage 3 hours a day.
That was actually my next question. I was going to say, being you're so comfortable with the birds, do you keep them out and or around? And that's a big bird. So in a cage, I would think the bird may want to get out, like the dog. They're there for our convenience. We put them in a cage. But they want to get out and run in the meadow a little bit or over at the school playground or something like that. Do they have to have some, when I say outside the cage time to just flap their wings?
Okay. Out of my 8 birds, 4 of them come out on a daily basis, and we set up different playstations in the house. They sit on the chandelier. They have a bowl of Rice Krispies, a bowl of water. In the summer, they're out of the house 3 hours a day in their travel cages. They're on the stoop. They love the sunshine. It's very healthy for them. They only come out, though, in other words, not direct sun, not direct heat. Because even though they come from warm climates, they tend to stay more so in the trees than get exposed to direct sunshine. This gentleman, and I clip his wings personally, he is on my shoulder walking the neighborhood on a daily basis. When it's 50 degrees or higher, he says hello to the school buses every morning. He says hello to the neighbors. He laughs at jokes and conversations when I have my neighbors coming over. So he's a celebrity in the neighborhood.
Oh, I would think so, and a very handsome one. Right?
Now, do you have any plans to open up shelters for unwanted birds or birds that can no longer be cared for?
Okay, we're a not-for-profit organization. What our plans are going to be is this. We are not a rescue. A rescue is completely different. You have to have education and licensing to become a rescue. What we're going to do is we're going to be looking for a building, which the county may have no use for, that we can turn into a shelter for unwanted birds, possibly also when people get older and they can't take care of their birds anymore, we would keep the birds in a shelter temporarily until we can rehome them. And we may actually try to partner with an animal shelter. We may speak with Town of Hempstead. Town of Islip already has birds set up. town of Brookhaven is not equipped for birds, but I'll tell you an interesting story about town of Brookhaven, and it's a very positive one, if I may say. I spoke to a lady 4 weeks ago, and she wanted to donate a cage to the society with toys and food, and she was crying on the phone. And she told me about Captain Morgan, a 72-year-old blue-fronted Amazon parrot. So we spoke, and one of my functions as a board member is to counsel people on the phone. I give out my personal cell phone number to people that are having some behavior issues. They just need to talk once in a while about maybe diet. I'm not a veterinarian, but I can give out basic advice and have a good time with people and give quality education. I told this lady that you can never replace something that you love. However, in this big planet, when you're truly an animal lover, you can open your heart and love another one. 4 weeks ago, a lady living in town of Brookhaven, she became ill. She was admitted to a hospital in Patchogue, and the doctor said, you will not be coming out. Her bird was alone in the house. SPCA came in, took the bird to Brookhaven Township. We found out about it. I personally drove a large cage in my car out for this bird named Jeffrey. I will tell you something about Jeffrey. Jeffrey's a life changer. Jeffrey knows how to sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Jeffrey says, I thought I saw a putty cat and it scared me. And Jeffrey can also sing How Much Is That Doggy in the Window and bark 10 times.
Really?
His new owner, this particular lady and her husband, took the bird in, and the bird appeared to lunge at her one time, and she got scared. So she walked away from the cage, and the bird yelled at her, come back here. She turned around, and her hair almost stood up in the air, and she says, what do you want? He says, come back here. She put her hand out, he came up, and he was a sweetheart. Very intelligent bird, very clear-speaking voice. Jeffrey is quite a character, if I may say.
Robert, what's the long-term vision for the Long Island Parrot Society?
Our long-term vision is this. We wish to get as many birds as possible, good homes. We wish to increase our membership so that we educate people. And the outreaches, what we do is we bring our birds, and we bring large and we bring small, like Rio, because love comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And as a matter of fact, my friend over here can live to be 25 to 30. And she is a marvelous, an absolutely marvelous bird for somebody in an apartment that can't have a dog or a cat. An absolutely great first pet for a young child to learn some responsibility about love and care of animals. We're also going to continue to improve our Zoom, where we incorporate so many people. I love hosting the meetings. I have such a great time. And I always learned one thing about public speaking. If you want to get people's attention, tell a few jokes, make people smile, put everybody at ease, and then get into the program. And it works so well on a monthly basis. And somebody actually said to me on the side saying, you should be an entertainer. I says, truthfully, I love this very much. It's helping people, and it's what I'm all about.
And it is. You can see you enjoy it, and obviously they got the right person in the right place.
So how did the organization get started, the Long Island Parrot Society, and what are your greatest accomplishments that you feel so far have been sort of the greatest hits of the company?
Okay. We're 37 years old, and it actually started out in the end of 1984. A couple of gentlemen started the club with a couple of parrots, and it grew very nicely. They initially had meetings at a church once a month, and now we're doing the meetings when we go back full blast over to, in town of Babylon, an American Legion Hall. So it's nice to be able to have a place where all the bird owners get together for a month, talk about everything. What we're talking about is this. My greatest accomplishment just happened on September 27th of this year. We were at the Belmore Street Fair, and at 9 o'clock in the morning, we had gotten word that a bird owner in New York City, in Tribeca, could no longer take care of a Moluccan cockatoo, 41 years of age, Miss Molly. And a company wanted to charge her $1,400 to transport a bird from Lower Manhattan into Pennsylvania. This woman couldn't afford it. There was only one person who wanted to adopt this bird. She lives in Beaver Falls, PA. She has a natural aviary within her house, and all of her birds are not caged. They're all on perches. They're all on ropes. She has a 40-year-old female Moluccan cockatoo. And Miss Molly passed the DNA, proved to be a female. So what I did was, that Monday morning, I drove in to Manhattan. I picked up this bird, supplied a transport cage, and I drove with Miss Molly for 3 hours to Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
To a stopover house. The lady now owns Miss Molly, and this bird will live out its next 20, 30 years, completely happy with another female Moluccan cockatoo. We also transport cages to people who are in wheelchairs, who are disabled. We do give people rides to the vets if necessary. So we help people and we help parrots.
That's dedication right there. Well, before we continue, I just want to add that you are listening to My Hometown on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Mike DeMarco, along with Bill Horan, and today we are learning all about the Long Island Parrot Society, an organization that is dedicated to responsible bird ownership through education and example. Our guest today is Robert Gross, a board member of the Long Island Parrot Society, and the Birdman of Wantagh. Bill?
Robert, it's certainly clear. I see how you're really nuzzling up and actually kissing the birds in between the breaks here, and you really love them, and you're the right person in the right position. First of all, tell our audience, if someone is interested hearing this, they say, oh, maybe I should get into it. Why would they want to, and where are you physically located? Do they get in touch over the internet? Do they come to a building or an office or a location somewhere in Nassau or Suffolk?
We have an updated website, and when I say that the amount of time and care that's been put into it, we can be reached at liparrots.org, and we can also be reached on the Parrot hotline, which is 631-957-1100. We can talk about adoption. We can talk about, we have our Facebook. We have our education. We have our outreaches. Everything is posted on the website right now. And the improvement, it's like a brand new house got built within the course of 6 months. One of our board members is an IT specialist. And the work that he did, we can't say thank you enough times to him. So when people log on, they're getting a look at all the birds up for adoption. They can apply online to adopt a bird that needs a home. What we find is the reason that so many parrots get rehomed is the following. One, sometimes people have to move to a place they cannot have a pet. They have to move out of state. They don't have enough room. And most of all, as people get older and can no longer care for, especially the big ones, these birds, the umbrella cockatoos, the macaws, Amazons, and grays, they average up to 5 different owners in a lifetime. If you went into a pet store and they were selling these type of birds, umbrella cockatoos, and if somebody younger says, oh, they make great pets, you'll love it. You can't go by something like that ever. You need to consult a specialist. And when I say log on to our website, call the Parrot phone, we'll personally give you a call back. To get a bird like this, when I bought Romeo, he was $1,400. Now these birds are selling at $4,600. And there's a major shortage of them because the amount of breeders due to the pandemic has been reduced. The largest bird store in New Jersey that used to sell hundreds of birds will no longer sell birds anymore. They can't keep up with the price increases. And this is why adoption right now is such a critical thing, which we're really gearing on. So how do you tell people that the best move can be a small bird? Well, when you're learning to ride a bicycle, you use your training wheels and you have a 16, maybe a 20-inch wheel. You don't go with a 26-inch wheel. You don't go with a mountain bike. You start out with Rio, a green sheet conure, or a cockatiel. After 2 years, you may consider a larger bird, but consult with a specialist. The amount of care necessary for the larger ones is incredible. If you leave one of these large parrots unsupervised in a house, they can remodel your kitchen free of charge in 1 hour.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I guess it's safe to say that people should really do their research before even considering a bird.
Yes.
Robert, is there any message you want to leave with people? Is there something they can do, donate to your organization? Like I see you have cages here, and maybe a lot of people, they actually look like a puppy or a kitten cage. Can they be donated and are they helpful to you, or is there something people may have around the house that they don't even realize would make a great addition to your society?
If people have cages, unused food, and new toys, we take in all donations. And if we get overloaded, we have a storage shelter in Amityville. If we get overloaded, we bring Town of Islip to come in and we share with them so they take care of their birds, which is very generous of them. And again, I gave you contact information, how to get through via the parrot phone or the website.
Give us that website once again.
It's liparrots.org.
.org. We have to remember that part because I think most of us generally just go the other way. And I have to say, if anybody wants somebody to work with their children, your birds have been the most well-behaved. I wish children were that well-behaved when they come to the studio. They've been... Can the birds say anything at the end?
You know something? Birds generally do not talk on command. When they're alone and they're well-fed, they sit up looking at the ceiling and they talk. I've never seen a parrot that can talk on command. And this guy knows a good 30-plus words. His voice is raspy. If you compare him to an African gray, and they can speak up to 700 words. Oh, do they get people in trouble?
Robert, later today, he's probably going to say, those two guys, Bill and Mike, they were nice guys, but he won't say it right now. We want to thank our special guest today, Robert Gross, a board member and part of the Long Island Parrot Society and better known as the Man of Wantagh. Robert, we really appreciate you and your special guest being here with us today.
Bill, thank you so much for a great day. Mike, thank you so much for a great day. And my friends, thank you very much. Oh, thank you.
I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Mike DeMarco. We thank you for listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.